Okay, so this one is the second model you need to know. It's called the working memory model. I've put it here on the first slide. This is what it looks like. All you need to know the names of each one and a little bit of information, maybe 2 to 3 marks about each component and see how it works. So you may want to draw this out. If you want to stop now, go and find a big A3 sheet, then do that, draw it as big as possible, and then I'll explain it and you can link it in or you can bullet point. But eventually you will need to label and understand this document. So if you want to draw it now, it's a good start. Okay, you'll have knowledge of the working memory model and you'll understand the components. All AO1. Okay, there it is again. And this is the first AO1 point you want to get, is this exists within short-term memory. So if you remember within the multi-store model, short-term memory was just one box. Where this exists is short-term memory. You can see at the bottom it's got long-term memory. But so basically what it's saying is all of those 4, central executive, phonological loop, episodic buffer, visual spatial sketchpad, are within the short-term memory. All right, so it's making short-term memory more complicated, more complex than the multi-store model set. Okay, first one to get, central executive. This monitors incoming information. The central executive, maybe a clue in the word executive, basically controls all of the other, what you sometimes hear called slave systems. So the other bits, it's at the top, it's deciding where to send information, where to focus information. Okay, and when you look at that, hopefully the thing you've drawn out there, you can see that it's at the top and it's deciding what flows down. So it's monitoring all the information. It allocates this data to different systems of those 3 areas. Okay, the phonological loop deals with auditory information, so sound. Okay, it's about acoustic information, about you know, when you're saying something internally in your head. Okay, that's the phonological phonological store stores the words you hear, and the articulatory process allows maintenance rehearsal to keep words in the working memory. So all you need here is what it deals with. So its coding is acoustic. It's divided into those 2 bits, the phonological store, so words that you hear, and the articulatory process, which allows you to rehearse those words in your head. Visual spatial sketchpad, or Visio spatial sketchpad, fairly obvious. This is going to deal with your visual or spatial information. Has a limited capacity, 3 to 4 items. Logie 1995 subdivided the visual spatial sketchpad into the visual cache, which stores visual data, and the inner scribe, which records where objects are in an inner field. To give you an example of how we use our visual spatial sketchpad, you may be in your house right now, but just picture how many windows your house has that look out across the front street. Now, straight away you are using your visual spatial sketchpad. You've maybe shut your eyes, or you're starting to figure out where things are. If I told you you needed to get from, you know, how would I get from here to school or whatever, then again you'd kind of zoom out and you'd think about the visual spatial information that you go. That's quite a good example of how to use or what your visual spatial sketchpad does. The episodic buffer, okay, added in 2000, so quite a while after the original making of the model, to allow for this idea that there's a temporary store for information that's moving from different areas. So without that episodic buffer, people would say, well, what if you've got visual and verbal data, or you know, times events, so that it allows to have this extra area to store and work with more information. Again, it links working memory to the long-term memory and other cognitive processes like perception. That last point is a bit complicated. I might have to explain that in class to you if you get that down about the episodic buffer. The last point before you click off, don't just disappear, is that an extra mark for all of those 3 to AO1 mark is that they all have limited capacity. So if you can just go back to your notes quickly and just put has limited capacity, has limited capacity, has limited capacity, then that will get you an extra mark when asked about it. Laters.